Women and men are equal in terms of ability and dignity. There really isn't any argument against that. So women and men must also be equal in terms of opportunity. This is not just human rights, but also common sense. Let's be practical. We can't reach our common development goals unless every member of society is able to use his or her talents to the full.
I believe that the vital point that you've heard President Kagame make clearly captures the principles and rationale underpinning the United Nations' strong commitment to the agenda of the empowerment of women and gender equity. It's also widely appreciated that a combination of strong political commitment at the highest level of the country's leadership have resulted in tremendous progress within a short period of time towards this important agenda. Many statistics are cited: the high representation of women in parliament, a very high proportion of women in the cabinet at the local governance levels, and increasingly in the business and the technology as well as services sectors. We are proud to note that the United Nations system has contributed tremendously to the progress attained in Rwanda in this respect.
The question is, what is gender equality and women's empowerment? And I think there are two answers to that. The first is that gender equality is fundamentally an issue of human rights. And every person, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their sex, should be able to have the same opportunities to realize their full potential in life. But the second part of it is that gender equality is an issue of development. We know that countries simply cannot develop as quickly as they could if they do not use the full potential of their people, males and females. In development we say, if development is not engendered, it is endangered. So I was very privileged when I came to Rwanda a year and a half ago, because what I saw were two things. One, a very high level of commitment by the government of Rwanda, and the president himself being a he for she champion, but also the tremendous work that the country office here had also done. As many people know, the country office was previously certified bronze in the gender seal process. What we've been doing since then is simply building on those foundations, and we have a tremendous amount of positive work to show.
Gender equality has been given due considerations in our programs, from design to the program implementation. Impact on men and women is being closely monitored, and good practices are documented and shared. There is no way you can significantly reduce poverty without considering the vulnerability of men and women. Most of our programs are directly contributing to poverty reduction through the access to finances, promoting of entrepreneurship and job creation, protection of environment while promoting alternative livelihoods, resilience to climate change and related disasters, and others. During the programming process, the need of men, women, youth were given due attention. Girls in ICT is one of the program components that registered huge success. Young girls are now confident in ICT, and like boys are providing ICT solution to the public and private sector. Their performance is high and they are making money.
We've seen the work that the office has done with partners like the Rwanda National Police, where we helped to set up the gender unit in the Rwanda National Police, the gender audit we have done of the justice sector. All 11 political parties now have women's political wings. We have supported the establishment of 10 female-owned media houses, and of course our financial inclusion program has provided opportunities for hundreds of thousands of women in this country. And those are just a few examples. And similarly in our office, because this is not something we do externally, it has to be done externally and internally. We must walk the talk.
In 2014, December, I was blessed with a baby girl, and then I took 4 months for maternity leave. After the 4 months, I resume work. Then with my supervisor, we look into the policy on flexible working arrangements and on breastfeeding hour. For both policies, we agreed on I can be starting my work early at 7:30 and then take the 2 hours for the first 6 months. And after 6 months, having each every day 1 hour.
Depuis les années 2005, c'est quand je me suis rendu compte que mes enfants devraient commencer l'école. Et là, les enfants devraient être à l'école à 7 h du matin, alors que normalement, au bureau, on commence le travail à 8 h. J'ai demandé à mon superviseur et au management cette flexibilité de commencer mon boulot à 7h10 après avoir déposé les enfants à l'école. Et comme ça, je récupère mon temps du matin, retourner au bureau à 14h40.
Quand je commence mon travail comme chauffeur ici au PNUD, les collègues ne comprennent pas une dame chauffeur. Mais mes chefs ont essayé de me soutenir dans mon travail. Et pour le moment, je travaille comme les hommes, pas de problème pour le moment.
This is our motto. We want all of our staff to feel that there's an equal opportunity, irrespective of your gender. And what I would say is that what we've done so far is just a beginning. We have a lot more to do in the months and years ahead. We're currently working on a gender in the private sector initiative. We're in discussion with the government and other partners, UN Women, about setting up the first investment fund for women. And there are many other ideas that we're working on. So we're building on strong foundations that have been set, and I think there's much more to come.
You know, our UNDP Rwanda country offices really ensure that gender equality is promoted in the workplace. And some of the measures we've put in place include, for example, promoting a zero tolerance to sexual harassment and gender-based violence. And when I look in our finance arena, we've ensured that we have a 10% budget allocation towards the learning plan for gender learning activities.
The gender seal process has proven to be an excellent mechanism to guide our country office in advancing gender equality and women's empowerment across all the areas of our work. As a staff member, I think the gender seal process has proven to be extremely helpful, not only in raising awareness, but also in building the capacity of our colleagues on gender issues. The example of the mandatory courses, but also the several learning sessions that we conducted on sexual harassment, gender mainstreaming, work-life balance, they have resulted in really an increase in the awareness level of our staff. But it also enables our staff to remove the existing stereotypes that they could have on those issues.
And also we've ensured that our communication language in the office is not gender biased. Within our office, we ensure that we watch our language, we use gender sensitive communication, all to improve our relating with one another. And also, when I look at our procurement and our HR, for example, we've really mainstreamed gender in our processes, whether it's recruitment processes.
As a newcomer, I was impressed from my first interaction. The panel that interviewed me was gender balanced. It was composed by 2 ladies and 2 gentlemen colleagues. A question around gender equality was asked to me. I could see the real picture of a policy at glance. During my induction, the management and colleagues told me that I will mainstream gender into the program that I'm managing, deepening democracy and accountable governance.
And we've seen an improvement in the female applicants such that we actually have a gender balance within the consultants that we hired, and also our panels within the office, whether it's the CAP committees, the learning committees, the SDG task forces. We're ensuring that we have gender parity in all our office committees. When I look at the administrative aspect of our work, we are housed in sort of like an oldish government compound. So we ensured the last few years that we paved all our pathways smoothly to allow for women to move around comfortably in their high heels. When we look at our vehicles, we've put in step-up platforms to facilitate easy accessibility, and this has also enhanced our gender sort of sensitivity.
Now, coming to the United Nations itself, it is indisputable that being a very strong supporter of empowerment of women and gender equity, it should also make sure that there is gender parity within the organization. It is for this reason that we are very satisfied, and we commend the UNDP's senior management for introducing the Gender Seal Certification Initiative. I believe that this will be further reinforced by the new Secretary General's agenda to attain gender parity within the highest levels of the United Nations by 2020. Coming to the country office of Rwanda, I am proud to note that we have already attained gender parity. It's 50-50 on average, and at the top management, it's 60% for women and 40% for men. I think this clearly represents significant progress within the country office, and it reflects the sentiment of the country office management to ensure that gender parity is attained within the country office.